Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one, the only turbo coin. Now, listen, right? We are looking to be going up in the short term, right? We did sell off from this key zone, right? When I draw it out, boom, over like this, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? We got rejected off a key zone. Now, we kind of expected this in general. And the reason why we expect this in general, because there was no bullish confirmation, right? There was no bullish confirmation. Not only that, but when we go to something like Bitcoin, right, we know that there's a gap roughly at $114,000, right? A little bit above that. And we also knew there was a gap at 118,500. And, at the time recording, we were around 120, 121K. So it was expected to at least have a couple percent drop at the bare minimum. I still overall expect for us to fill this gap over here. But then not only that, ladies and gentlemen, but we did have turbo structure, right? Nothing suggested that we were really going to go up. And even if we did, it was going to be more short lived than anything else. Okay. So we can see that we are below a massive resistance right now, right? I do believe we will overtake this and we will turn it into support, but I do believe that there's probably going to be at least one more pullback. Now, in the short term, it would not surprise me if we pull up a little bit, right? If we pull up a little bit and then create a lower low once again. I say this because, you know, the markets usually just don't go straight down, straight up. They kind of go, as you can see, in a staircase type form, right? If we draw it out over here, we can see it's very much like a staircase up, down, up, down, up, down, and just overall zigzaggy, right? Very, very zigzaggy. So, I expect nothing else. I don't expect anything else other than a potential pull up um, up to 5, 10%, not 10%, more like 5 to 7%, and then to sell off to form some type of, high here, lower high, and then finally to take this area out and to also come back into our 4 hour order block, right? 4 hour order block, which is very, very nice on top of this very important key support. Okay. I overall do expect that, right? I overall do expect that. Now, even go to something like the daily. I mean, we can even see on the daily that when we take away everything, boom, like this, we can see we do have this low over here of the daily, and we have a lower low. Okay. So nothing on the technical analysis suggests that we are going to just be pumping up and up. But I will say, with the way the structure is forming and the way, obviously we know the trend of the markets. We all overall know that we're generally going to be going up. Okay. But I know some people still get worried, which is why a lot of you guys still tune in on to the videos every single day. Overall, I kind of expect for us to be in this type of channel, right? For us to be in this type of channel like this, and then once we kind of, start seeing sideways movement, right? Let's just say we do have the pull up a little bit, then we go further back down, right? Once we kind of sweep the zone of 0.0047, come into the zone of 0.0045, that's kind of when I expect sideways movement to happen. It doesn't even happen. It doesn't have to happen even for a long time. It could literally just happen for 2 to 5 days, and then we could already start seeing progress to the upside. Okay. And that is what I really do expect from Turbo. Okay. Because we are bullish. We are bullish, right? We're not, doing any type of structure like here where it's kind of baiting us, but, still giving hints that it's going to go lower, right? We also know the context of the markets. We are generally looking to be just consistently, kind of going up. Even when we do go down, we're kind of just generally expecting to be going up. So, that is what I ultimately expect. Okay. I don't expect any big surprises, any big type of loss. especially that, down here really, really solidifies everything for me. The way the markets were ping ponging, perfect structure, consistently going up and down, the most fundamental way you could possibly imagine, really, really gives me the confidence that we won't be seeing this price, until possibly bear season, right? But then, we have to see how everything plays out during altcoin season to even consider Turbo ever coming back down to this price. Okay. And that is just the reality, right? That is just the reality. Now, in terms of monthly closings, right? It's not the most wow if we close like this. We still do have, 1 to 2 more days practically. But, it right now it is still technically a higher high. When we close the wick, right, we can see we have this high over here. Boom. Well, actually, it's probably something else because you guys can't see that little line, right? We do have this monthly high here, and then we would have a higher high, right? Clear as day. Like I said, we still have 2 days. We still need that extra confirmation, but I am fairly, fairly confident. All right, we also do have this low over here, and we do have this higher low, right? And it's perfect. It creates a staircase to the upside, right? August, ladies and gentlemen, we might see a small pullback in August. I don't expect anything crazy, right? The reason why I say we might see a small pullback in August is because we might be looking to tap into this August candle, or sorry, this candle over here. And sometimes the first few days of the month like to manipulate. So let's say hypothetically June did close like this, or sorry, July did close like this. Right, like I said, us coming back down to this zone, right? If we go like this and coming back down somewhere here, would not surprise me, but just it would be very, very short lived. Overall, very, very short lived, right? Do not get baited. The worst times are ahead of us, or sorry, not ahead of us. The worst times are behind us. And I expect really, really great and exciting times over the next few weeks. I know some people are impatient. They kind of just want, like a nice God weekly candle like this. But then, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you would get for the next upcoming weeks, right? You would literally get something like this before it starts going sideways, before it starts going up again. Okay, so it is just better to be fundamental over the next month or two, making its way up consistently back up to key zones, right? The next key zone practically 0.008, especially in terms of support and resistance. And of course, after that, we're looking at the all time highs, right? Those are like the big, big next targets. And I do expect to hit it, right? I really, really do expect to hit it. In fact, I'm going to call it now. I think the next time we kind of do get a pump, we probably will top out right above this candle right over here. Boom, right, the 0.0093 before we get a sell off and correction. Maybe a little fake dip, do something like this. Again, boom, 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 right. Doesn't, don't take this as a literal blueprint, but, I'm calling it right now. I think the next time we do have a strong pump, we're going to sweep this monthly candle right here. And I do think that's where we're going to see a pullback once again. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is ultimately it. I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.